Good morning, everybody. It is Andy Smith, your host with the most, with today's book look, where I grab a book off my shelf and go through it page by page. And if you dig it, you can go check it out, find it on the internet, hopefully, if it's not out of print, and go buy it. This week, last week, I should say I did Modern Masters Kevin Nolan, and this week I said I was going to be doing this book, Grimwood's Daughter, that Jan Strand and Kevin Nolan did. This was I think it was a backup feature back in the 80s in a magazine or something that Fantagraphics put out. I don't exactly remember because I don't ever remember seeing it. The whole book is black and white. It's fantasy based, and it is gorgeous. This reprint hardcover came out in 2009. It was originally published as a backup material in Dalgota issues 2 through 6. It's a cool story, and I saw panels of this in the Modern Masters book when I first got it, and I liked it, but I didn't really research it any further. And then when I was going through his Marvel Artist Edition that came out, there was a mention of this in, I believe, the introduction, and I searched it out and was just blown away. The thing I love is Kevin's a master at black and white art, and the way he does his lighting and such is just fantastic. I've always loved it. I've always loved his rendering style. But what makes this really cool is because it's in black and white, there's a lot more rendering and lighting than he normally does for work that is in color. Every panel in this is just, in my opinion, just gorgeous. I mean, just poured over. Like, I see the lighting on this guy's face, and I can see different ways it can be colored, but it's all there. And this came out, like I said, this was, what year was this? It says backup material 2000. Doesn't say when it was originally published. It just says in Dalgota, but it was, I want to say it was like 85, 86 when it came out. So, I mean, Kevin was in his 20s, I believe, when this came out, his late 20s. He was born, I believe, if I remember right, in 1958. And this came out before he turned 30, I believe. But anyhow, it doesn't matter. I would love to know what he was inking with back then. I'm such a tool person in regards to, I love to know the tools that people use. Love this right here. Once again, just the lighting on this horse and the way he did the rendering. This shot here framed up really nicely. This beautiful shot of this village. He does some very nice, epic, long shots in this book. And there's one I'm specifically thinking of we'll get to. And I mean, page rates back then in the 80s, obviously the cost of living was way different, but still, page rates, they weren't, they weren't fantastic. I know what I got paid when I first got into the industry for pencils and inks, and this was through Fantagraphics, so I'm going to imagine he was making less per page on this than I did when I broke in. Love this shot right here. Kids are very tough to draw. I mean, look at that beautiful kid's face right here. Here we go. Look at this. Look at those eyes. Masterful lighting. So one of my favorite jobs to this day, I mentioned it last week, is still the Batman and the Outsiders annual that he did. He painted the cover. He did pencils and inks on the inside. Love all those characters. You know, I really would love to have seen Kevin Nolan ink something over Jim Aparo. Look at this dragon. It's just so cool because it's not super detailed, but just the way he did the lighting and stuff. And then this dude flying on it with his cloak flowing. Great battle going on down here. Just take it in. And, you know, think about the time this came out. You look at it now and you're like, oh, there wasn't anything so special about it. You know, there are other guys that are doing stuff like this. That might be true. But back when this came out in the 80s, that was not the case. This really stood out, I'm sure. And, the funny thing is, as a kid, if I would have saw this in the 80s, when it first came out, I would have brushed right past it. I would have flipped through it and been like, yeah, where's the big bulky superheroes? That's the stuff I want to see, like a dummy. See, I think some of this is marker. The way the poles look and stuff. And then here, it looks like he just switched to a thicker marker. The detail on these leaves. Like I said, you could tell this was made for black and white, but a really good colorist, Matt Hollingsworth, Dave McCaig, Laura Martin, Mark Chiarello could make this really sing with nice flat color or really, really low rendering. See, stuff like this, you can, like I said, if you look at this, you can get a Frazetta feel from it. You could tell he was influenced by, Frazetta was an influence. Look at this face right here. Totally see it in some of the rendering and stuff. That cool dragon again. And this was done after he broke in doing stuff at Marvel, if I remember correctly, because he broke in at Marvel, that Doctor Strange job, early 80s. Oh, man. Just pour over this stuff and just look at it. I love that. Even in the background, that fine cross-hatching back there. And if I'm right, if he was using markers to do some of this rendering, because that just looks too fine for a 102 pen, but you never know. But if he was using markers, then I got to say, this is the 80s. What the hell type of markers? Like, are these originals turning purple because of the marker fading and stuff? You know who else I'd love to see Kevin ink is, well, two people. John Byrne, which there's this jam piece out there that Byrne drew or started drawing of a bunch of different characters, Marvel characters, and different inkers finished different characters, and the Submariner was done by Kevin Nolan. Try to search that, see if you can find it. I just love that face. That split lighting going down the nose, little reflected light back there popping in on that side of the nose. And I'd like to see him ink my buddy Bart Sears when Bart goes full rendering on his, because Bart can do lots of feathering and rendering. I'd love to see Kevin Nolan's line work on it. This is the epic spread I was talking about. 2-page spread. You got the dragons flying in, hordes of warrior guys flowing in through the gates. And then a battle ensues. I mean, this is so in the vein of like Hal Foster right here, this top panel in regards to layout and such. Love this face right here. This is another one. Gives me big Frazetta vibes with the way the rendering is done. You know, I wonder if a lot of this rendering is a rapidograph. I hope he's a guest at Heroes Con again this year, because I don't really get a lot of stuff signed, but I would take this to have him sign it and then pick his brain about it. And I believe he lettered this as well. So his lettering is also just phenomenal. This is great. I love how he did the fire here in these last 3 panels. This whole page, great shot here, this stag with the characters on it. Great lighting on it. Nice long shot. You've got the framing device in the foreground with this Y-shaped tree. Really cool. I love the way he did the blacks on the ground over here. Very nice extreme long shot here. Solid blacks over here, some nice grays on this side. But then you see the fire creeping in and the way he did it. And then the aftermath. Beautiful, stark, high contrast there. And in this, I love this guy's face with the reflected light coming back in this way. And same with the dragon. Just so nice. I would love to have seen a Conan job by Kevin this way. And that's it. It's not that long of a story. 48 pages, so each page was basically, or each chapter was just, I think 2 through 6. About 9-some pages, roughly. And we get to see some of the pencils to the work. These thumbnails are insane. I don't know how big these are. I wish it said. A part of me wouldn't be surprised if they were just a tad bit bigger than this. Like this is original size of these thumbnails, or maybe a little bit bigger, but they are so freaking tight. And then initial pencils here. These could be full size because the lettering is so tight on them. But you see everything's drawn out. Nice line art. And then he goes in and does the lighting and such. And we get into more of the full pencils. Here's a page of full pencils, which is just, you see it and people think, oh, he inks his own work. His pencils probably aren't that tight. Well, here's a page of full pencils right here. This would be super fun to ink. It's a hardcover book, so it'd be hard to lay down to get a scan of. But if I could, I wouldn't ink the whole page, but I would ink a few things on it just to see how I could do. But I think that would be really fun. Some more full pencils here. Logo design. Like I said, Kevin does it all. Pencils, inks, logo design, lettering, you name it, he does it. One of the best artists in the business. Highly sought after. If you're a fan of his work, this is a must-have. So go check it out. So there you go, guys. This week's book look. Grimwood's Daughter. I believe I got this off of eBay. Pretty cheap, like maybe $10. Cover price on it was $12.99, so $10, not bad. Go check it out. Join me for next week's book look. And of course, every Thursday, I drop a time-lapse video where I draw a character, sometimes a popular one and sometimes not a popular one, because my tastes vary quite a bit. And Takes me a few hours to draw it. You can watch the whole process in about 5 minutes. And subscribe to the channel. I will catch you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. And bye-bye, everybody.